And we are coming on the air with breaking news about former President Donald Trump. NBC News has just learned that the federal classified documents case, the case where he's been accused of hoarding classified documents at his Mar-a-Lago estate, has just been dismissed by a federal judge in Florida. This news comes as Republicans are set to officially nominate him for president later this week, and less than 48 hours after he survived that assassination attempt on him at a rally in Pennsylvania over the weekend. Obviously, this case has been bogged down in delays for months now. It didn't even have a trial date, but this is an enormous victory for the former president and his legal team. I want to get straight to NBC's Garrett Haake, who covers the Trump campaign for us and joins us now. Garrett, his team had obviously been hoping this case would go away. It was almost a legal long shot to say that the special counsel had been wrongly appointed, but Judge Cannon now agreeing with them.
That's right, Laura. These arguments presented to Judge Cannon in late June. Her decision, a 93-page ruling, coming just hours before the Republican National Convention is set to make Trump not just the presumptive, but the official nominee of the Republican Party. This is, without a doubt, a huge break for Donald Trump and the Trump campaign. I can tell you, conversations with many of his allies, many of his legal advisors on the outside of the campaign thought that this case against him was perhaps the most dangerous. The conduct described within the most clear-cut potential violation of the law, and potentially something that worked against his message going back to 2016 and 2020 about securing our country's secrets. Here, a federal judge whom he himself appointed as president now finds that the Constitution forbids essentially such an appointment as was done here for Jack Smith, the special prosecutor. Now, we've yet to hear any official word from the Trump campaign, but his allies are rejoicing on social media, suggesting that this was not just the right decision, but a necessary one constitutionally. Matt Gaetz, a prominent Trump supporter and something of a pro-Trump Twitter troll, suggests that Aileen Cannon, the judge in this case, ought to be named to the Supreme Court. You know, Laura, there's been so much talk about what the mood of this convention would be like after the attempted assassination of the former president on Saturday. This development from the district court down in Florida going to infuse, I think, a celebratory atmosphere here in Milwaukee once this convention gets underway in the next few hours.
And Garrett, as you point out, this in some ways had been seen as one of the more serious cases for him in terms of the stakes of it, where he's obviously running for re-election while accused of doing something to violate our nation's most closely held secrets. Right. I mean, it's hard to almost underscore what a win this is for him. Obviously, he had the New York conviction. He's going to be appealing that one. The D.C. case essentially gutted because of the Supreme Court saying that he's immune from most prosecution. The Georgia case also bogged down in a completely unrelated delay with no hope of a trial. And this one was still sort of in limbo, but the stakes were high here for him politically and legally.
That's right. And it appears that Donald Trump and his attorneys are going to pull the political equivalent of an inside straight in poker here. I mean, just an absolutely unbelievable run of luck or skilled lawyering, depending on how you want to look at it here, with, as you said, the Georgia case bogged down over allegations of how the prosecutor was conducting herself and in that office. The D.C. case, the federal case related to election interference, as you point out, essentially gutted by a Supreme Court immunity ruling that in this particular case might not have applied. Remember, the conduct alleged here, essentially the hoarding of classified information, some of the country's most sensitive nuclear secrets, was all conduct charged after he was citizen Trump. Ex-President Trump did not, in the argument of the special counsel at least, have anything to do with his conduct as president, but rather his conduct as Donald Trump, the citizen whom he became once again after being president, so theoretically would not have been subject to that immunity ruling. Here, something of a novel legal theory, one that even I think some of Donald Trump's political advisors thought was less likely to be the thing that threw him a lifeline here, doing exactly that at timing that could not be more fortuitous for the former president as he opens his convention, as his opponent, President Biden, has been weakened and hobbled by the Democratic response to his handling of that first debate with his own campaign ads off the air. Democrats essentially sitting back in this moment after the former president was the target of that attempted assassination over the weekend. And now just this incredible legal and political break for a former president just as he's about to seize the national spotlight for his 4-day convention.
Yeah, Garrett, the timing just here could not be more fortuitous. I want you to stand by for a minute while I get over to NBC News legal analyst Danny Cevallos. Danny, you've been working your way through the decision. It's from Judge Cannon, who was appointed by the former president. It is lengthy. This was a motion that had been filed by his legal team, and it was not one, frankly, that they expected to win. Anybody else who had looked at this had said the special counsel, Jack Smith, was rightly appointed. There was no constitutional issue, but she agreed. Is this reasoning going to stand up, Danny?
It might, but your question really implies what we all know is that it does not end here at the district court level. This will go up because this is not just a ruling on this specific case. This is a ruling on the constitutionality of the appointment of Jack Smith. So you better believe that Trump's team is loading this into their arsenal for any other case. Of course, the documents case and the January 6th case, they're going to use it. The argument is surprising in the sense that we've all been talking about immunity for the last couple weeks, the Supreme Court's decision there. This is not based really on immunity. It's based on the appointments clause of the Constitution and also the appropriations clause, which the court didn't even reach, but implied that that would be a grounds for tossing the case as well. And the bottom line is this. The appointments clause requires in the Constitution that someone like Jack Smith, according to the court, be appointed by the DOJ or by the executive branch, but it must be confirmed by the Senate. And so the argument there is that this violates that portion of the Constitution because Jack Smith was not appointed through this procedure. And the judge essentially says, Congress, there's a way to do this. And you could appoint Jack Smith the way all U.S. attorneys are appointed.
And Danny, the special counsel, if he wants to, could try to appeal this ruling now to the 11th Circuit, the federal appeals court. But given how things are going, given the timing issues, this, of course, has no hope of any resolution before the election.
It had little hope of getting to trial before the election. Now it has zero chance because whoever appeals, obviously the Jack Smith's team will appeal. And yes, it will go up to the circuit court. And I expect this is going to go pretty quickly to the Supreme Court. But however quickly it goes to the Supreme Court will not be quickly enough for the election. Now, I say that, and as you know, Laura, federal courts have a lot of power. Circuit courts can put things on speed, on high speed, in a way that they can't in other cases. So it's theoretically possible this could be decided in a matter of weeks, but it will not be in all likelihood. If Donald Trump is elected, this federal case is likely over, and maybe the other federal case against Donald Trump in D.C. as a result, at least tangentially, of this decision. Even though this decision has no precedential value or no controlling value over Judge Chutkan in D.C. District Court, it certainly gives the Trump team a blueprint going forward.
Yeah, I can't underscore enough what a win this is for him. And I was just in touch with his legal team who was briefing him just as we were coming on the air about this enormous win for them. Can't underscore enough that this has essentially gutted the case. They did not expect to necessarily win on this issue. But I want to go back over to Garrett now with more on sort of how the political and legal landscape have intertwined here, Garrett, as you wonder, given sort of where we are with everything that happened with the attempted assassination over the weekend, I wonder if we might not hear from even the Justice Department about this, given everything of the context of what's going on here.
Well, Laura, the Justice Department, as you know, likes to speak in indictments and in paper and not necessarily on camera or on the record, particularly in situations like this. So I suspect we're more likely to see a filing than a television statement. But the former president goes the other way. I think if he's got something to say about this, we will see it and hear it from him, perhaps on camera as early as today. I've covered politics for a long time, and I have never seen such an incredible sort of month-long lucky streak by a politician, whether it starts with the immunity ruling by the Supreme Court, surviving an assassination attempt, to now having another case thrown out on the moment his convention is expected to open. An extraordinary moment in our politics, Laura. Yes, Garrett. All right. You're going to have your hands full this week, my friend. Thank you. That concludes this NBC News special report. We will have much more ahead on our streaming network, NBC News Now, online at NBCNews.com, and a full wrap-up tonight on NBC Nightly News. We will return some of you now over to the
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.